اللهم صل على سيدنا. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين، حبيبنا ونبينا مولانا محمد صادق الوعد الأمين، وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه وذرياته وأهل بيته وإترته وبناته وأصحابه وبارك وسلم رضوان الله تعالى عليهم أجمعين. أما بعد، وقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في قرآنه العظيم وخطابه القديم: محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. ويقول الله سبحانه وتعالى في شأن حبيبه الكريم: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا مولانا محمد وأصحابه وبارك وسلم. جماعة المسلمين، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Our subject of discussion is a continuation of the station and status of the prophets of Allah. We will continue from where we had left the last time, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about the station and status and the reverence of His beloved Nabi Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Now we will discuss the other aspect of the fundamental beliefs of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has informed His prophets about the unseen, about the ghaib. This is a subject of contention between the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah and other cults, the Wahhabi and the Deobandi and many other deviant cults who do not believe that the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was blessed with the knowledge of unseen, which is known in Arabic as Ilmul Ghaib. The great Mujaddid ala Hazrat Imam Ahmad Raza radiyallahu ta'ala a question was posed to him in 1905 in Makkah Mukarramah by the ulama of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. It was just the beginning of the rise of the Wahhabi regime or the Wahhabi cult in the Hijaz al-Mubarak. He had answered to the question that they posed to him in 7 hours. A total of 7 hours without being amongst his books of reference, and he was not well as well, and he did ask them to excuse him to pen down a very detailed answer, but they insisted and they said that it is him who can solve this problem. So he, in a state of fever, he went to the Haram al-Sharif in the morning. I performed his salah there, and then he made wudu with Zamzam, and he sat behind the Maqam Ibrahim and sought assistance from his masters, Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and Sayyidina Hudur Ghawsal Azam radiyallahu ta'ala. So what actually happened was that he, while concentrating on the masters, he saw the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam appear at the door of the Kaaba. And on his left hand side was Sayyidina Ali al-Murtaza karramallahu wajhu al-Kareem, and on the left hand side was Sayyidina Ghaus al-Azam Shaykh Abd Al Qaderi al-Jilani radiyallahu ta'ala. And from there the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam ordered him to write. And the term was uktub. Uktub means write. So that was a permission granted by the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And he began writing the answer, and it formulated the answer in 7 hours. And another hour he took to edit it. So would say between 8 to 8.5 hours, he penned down the masterpiece Ad-Dawlatul Makkiyya bil Maddatil Ghaybiyya. Anyway, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam has been informed about the ghaib, because this is one of the fundamental things that a Prophet of Allah requires for the operation of the station and status of Nubuwah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in Holy Quran, وَأَلَّمَكَ مَا لَمْ تَكُنْ تَعْلَمْ. This is in reference to Sayyidina Adam ala Nabiyana alayhi salatu wassalam. So there's many languages that are spoken on earth by the progeny and lineage of the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. All those languages were taught to Sayyidina Nabi Adam alayhi salatu wassalam. If you look at the exegesis and the tafsir of the Quran al-Kareem by the senior commentators of the Quran, they have mentioned that Adam alayhi salam was taught the names of all those things that will appear in this world. And he also taught him all the languages that will be spoken on this earth. This is the station and status of Sayyidina Nabi Adam alayhi salam. So what do you think will be the status of Sayyidul Anbiya, Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam? Sayyidina Abu Darda radiyallahu ta'ala has mentioned that the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not depart from this world without informing them of the flapping of the wings of birds. The feathers that are used to flap the wings. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the Sahabi says, he did not depart from this world without informing them of the knowledge of the flapping of the wings of the birds. What is the extent of that knowledge? Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And now you must understand that the biggest hidden thing in this entire universe that is concealed from the vision of every human being or every creation, and that is the being, the divine being of Allah, the Zat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the biggest ghaib. But on the night of Mi'raj, when the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was invited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into the transcendental region, in the restricted zones in Kaaba Qawsain, and Allah's beloved Nabi, our master Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, made the ziyarah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when the most concealed thing in this universe is the being of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if that was not hidden from the Nabi, then what else is there that is more greater a ghaib or unseen in this universe that was been hidden by the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam? Do you have a fan? So it is mentioned in the articles of faith that every single atom every single atom in this universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has presented it to the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he is aware of all that. Sayyida Amina radiyallahu ta'ala anha, the pious mother of the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, states that when the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was born, the angels wrapped him up and took him away. And then he reappeared with keys in his hand. And those keys are the keys to the treasures of the entire universe. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the angels to take the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam throughout the universe and let him examine everything. That was in a state when he was still just born. He was very young. He's still a child. And this is prior to his announcement of prophethood. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam recognized every single thing in this universe. So every atom was exposed to the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. No ghaib or no unseen was hidden from him. Ilm ghaib and knowledge of Allah subhanahu of the entire universe is something that is been blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No human, no creation of Allah possesses any personal knowledge. No creation of Allah possesses any personal knowledge. If anybody believes that he possesses personal knowledge, then these are words of kufr. Every knowledge that a person has, or whatever knowledge he has, is by the gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is known in Arabic as ata'i. Ata'i is a knowledge that is blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and nobody has zati knowledge. Zati means personal knowledge. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala possesses personal knowledge. Nobody gave Allah any knowledge, yet He is His own, and the rest of creation knowledge that has been bestowed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is His personal knowledge, it is His zati knowledge. Therefore, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives any knowledge, the difference between knowledge of the Creator and creation is that Allah's knowledge is personal, and knowledge of the rest of the universe or the creation is gifted knowledge, is ata'i. Right? So it is shirk, a form of shirk, to believe that anybody possesses personal knowledge. Right? There are many ahadiths that substantiates this belief, and it is an entrenched belief of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So the problem again here is that some people think that by them engaging in ibadah and riyaza and spiritual engagement in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, riyaza or ibadah or muraqabah or whatever the form of worship they may undertake, they can never ever reach the status of a Nabi of Allah. Right, so Nubuwah and risala, prophethood and messengership, is not something that one can achieve by his own endeavor. It is also, that is now known as kasab, to earn something, to kasab. And when it is wahab, nubuwa and risala is wahabi. It is something that is bestowed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the difference between a Nabi and a non-Nabi, as I mentioned to you previously as well, that every single moment of a Nabi of Allah is involved in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether he is walking, talking, or whether he is sleeping for that matter, is also a form of ibadah. Because the sleep of a Nabi is rated as a wahi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whereby he talks to Allah even in his sleep. So the difference between, one of the difference between a prophet and a non-prophet is a factor of the fiqh, Islamic fiqh, that nullifies wudu is sleep. Right? And when we sleep, it is a factor that fiqh has said that it nullifies wudu. So, and the in-depth of this mas'ala is very important for you to know as well. The act of sleeping itself does not break wudu. What really breaks wudu is when you are unconscious, because an-nawmu nisful maut. Nawm is known as like half death. When you are sleeping, you are unaware whether gases have been discharged from your body or not. Gases, or you go to toilet, these things are factors that nullify wuzu. So you are not sure whether those gases are released from the human body. Right? You pass wind or you're not passing wind, you're not aware of that. So that is a factor that actually breaks wuzu, and therefore the fuqaha have said that they use the term and generalize it as sleep, because sleep is causing that unconsciousness, and it is in that unconsciousness that your wudu breaks. So this is a detail which is known as in fiqh as the details, right? Juziyat, you call it juziyat in fiqh. Among the juziyat in fiqh is that you are not aware whether you have released any air from your body or you have passed any wind. That is the factor that actually nullifies wuzu. So the beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or for that matter any prophet of Allah, their sleep does not nullify wudu, because they are totally aware, because he had mentioned, the hadith al-sharif says, tanamu aini wala yanamu qalbi. Our eyes do sleep, but our heart does not sleep. Tanamu aini, tanamu aini, tanamu aini wala yanamu qalbi. Our eyes do sleep, but our heart does not sleep, because that is one of the demands of tawajjuh ilallah, of the prophethood or wilaya of a Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you can recall, the last time I mentioned to you, the wilaya and the nubuwa are the two factors of the station of prophethood. So the wilaya of a Nabi is concentration in Allah, which is da'im, continuously. And the nubuwa of the prophet, of a prophet of Allah, is concentration in creation. So one is the concentration in the creator, one is concentration in creation. So the concentration in creator is much more greater than the concentration in creation. So the work of a Nabi is an arbitrator between Allah and his Rasul. Like your parent is an arbitrator or is a medium between you and the takhliq and creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He doesn't send the human being on this world without the medium of a parent. So the parent is the wasila of your birth. Right? So the iman of a human being is also via the mercy and via the wasila of the beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I did speak in detail about this fact in the last session. We will not repeat that. So there is no specific amount of prophets that have been determined. We don't know exactly how many prophets that was sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not all their names are known. Only the names of the prophets that are known are what is mentioned in the hadith or what is mentioned in the Holy Quran. So generally they say 124,000. They always use the term plus minus. Plus minus 124,000 prophets blessed this physical universe, and they were born. Hazrat Adam alayhi salam is the first prophet of Allah. He is also the first human that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, and he was created without a mother and father. This is one of the marvels of Allah's creation. Adam alayhi salam was created by the qudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a human without parents. And every human is the progeny of Sayyidina Nabi Adam and Sayyida Hawa radiyallahu ta'ala anha. So Sayyida Hawa was created from the rib of Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam. Alright? And the first, like it's mentioned in many traditions, that Nuh alayhi salam is awwalur rusul. A Rasul is the messenger, and Nabi is a prophet. So awwalur rusul, Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam is mentioned as awwalur rusul because he was the first prophet to be sent to non-believers. Adam alayhi salam ke zamane mein kuffar nahi the. There were no kuffar that were there at the time of Adam alayhi salam. But at the time of Sayyidina Nuh, they were disbelievers. So the first prophet to be sent to disbelievers was Sayyidina Nabi Nuh alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salam, and he said to him in the Holy Quran, Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. That Allah has made Adam alayhi salam, or for that matter, in general terms, the human being as a khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sayyidina Huzur Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala, in his thesis of Tasawwuf, name of the book is Sirrul Asrar Fima Yahtaju Ilayhi al-Abrar, quotes a Hadith al-Qudsi. There are different grades of Hadith, like the Sahih Hadith, Za'if Hadith, Hasan Hadith, and so on and so on. And there is one Hadith that is known as Hadith al-Qudsi. Hadith al-Qudsi is the highest ranking Hadith, and a Hadith al-Qudsi is a revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has no messenger in between to carry the message from Allah to the Nabi. Sayyidina Jibreel is a messenger of the Wahi that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commissioned him to bring a message like the revelation of the Holy Quran. And the beloved, when Jibreel alayhi salam used to receive the command from Allah and receive the message, he used to carry that message and deliver it to the beloved Nabi verbally. Like the Torah used to be delivered to the Prophet in a slate form, written in a slate. But the Quran was revealed verbally. It was a verbal revelation that Sayyidina Jibreel heard from Allah, and he brought it and relayed it to the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So, this is via an angel. Any message that is sent from Allah to a prophet, it is known as wahi, a revelation. But it is either via an angel or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly communicates with the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. When there is an angel involved, it's wahi. But when wahi, which is the Quran al-Kareem, and if there is no angel or arbitrator or a medium in between that message, which is directly inspired into the heart and communicated by Allah to His Prophet, that is known as Hadith al-Qudsi. Right? Hadith al-Qudsi, Zina Huzur Ghawsul Azam radiyallahu ta'ala an narrates the Hadith al-Qudsi in his book Sirrul Asrar, in which he says, Al-insanu sirri, al-insanu sirri, wa ana sirruhu. Al-insanu sirri, wa ana sirruhu. Insan is my secret. Insan is my secret, and I am the secret of the human being. Okay, now one of the status of the human being is very dynamic, multifaceted, and there are two aspects of a human being. One is the physicality of a human, his physical aspect, physicality, and one is his cosmic personality. Okay, physical and cosmic, physical and spiritual. Therefore, the human being is a union of the body and soul. When special attributes are attributed to the human being, like for example, if you remove the soul from the body of any creature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and leave it, the elements of weather, due to the elements of weather, the body will start disintegrating. It will start shivering, will break down with chemical reaction from the weather, and then eventually it will rot and decay and will totally destruct it. The body of any creature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is narrated in the hadith, Sahih hadith, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam to construct the Kaaba, construct the Baytul Muqaddas. Masjid al-Aqsa was constructed by Hazrat Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam. And he was ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to use the jinns, the jinn fraternity, to construct the Masjid al-Aqsa. So, because of the nature of jinns, because of their disobedience, they only worked when they saw Hazrat Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salam observing them. So as soon as the Prophet turned around or did some other work or he was absent, they put tools down. So there was 1 year work left for the completion of the construction of Masjid Al-Aqsa. And it so happened by the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, kullu nafsin za'iqatul maut, the time of death of Hazrat Sayyidina Sulaiman had arrived. At that time, he had himself propped with his asa, with his stick, with his staff. Behind him, he had it propped, and he was standing and watching the construction of Masjid Al-Aqsa. And in that condition, the angel Malak al-Maut came and he removed the soul of Sayyidina Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam. And he remained in that position. Why? There was 1 year work left for the construction and completion of Masjid Al-Aqsa. 1 year. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserved his body in that same position with no changes whatsoever, whether it was day, night, sun, rain. He remained in that posture for 1 complete year, totally intact. So the jinns had no time to ever move away from the construction, because every single moment they saw Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam standing there observing them, and they continued and completed the construction in 1 year. After the construction of Masjid Al-Aqsa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the termites to start eating up the staff and asa of Hazrat Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salam. And as they ate up the staff, slowly his body was released to the ground, and that is the only time that the jinns realized that Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam had passed away. So, a Sahih Hadith of the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam accentuates and commands and says, Inna Allah harrama ala al-ard. If you would like to write it down, you can. Inna Allah harrama ala al-ard. Inna Allah harrama ala al-ard an ta'kula ajsad al-anbiya. Inna Allah harrama ala al-ard an ta'kula ajsad al-anbiya fanabiyullahi hayyun yurzaq. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it haram on the ground to eat up the bodies of prophets. This is a general rule to all prophets. It is haram, Allah has made it haram on the ground to eat up the bodies of prophets. فَنَبِيُّ hayyun, because the prophets of Allah are alive. The prophets of Allah are alive. Yurzaqu, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them sustenance and rizq. Allah provides them with sustenance, with rizq. Another hadith is mentioned, I think it's by Imam Jalaluddin as-Suyuti radiyallahu an, in the book Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Muhammadin. I can't, just not coming into my mind at the moment, but I will mention it as it comes by, that لا فرق بين موته وحياته عليه السلام. there is no difference between the living or the life of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam and his passing away. Inna la farqa bayna mawtihi wa hayatihi alayhi salam fi mushahidatihi. In his observance, لا فرق بين موته وحياته عليه السلام في مشاهدته لأمته. In observing his ummah, as he used to observe the ummah while he was physically alive, he is to this moment and carrying on till Qiyamah, he will be observing the actions and movements of the ummah, so much so وَنِيَّاتِهِ, even the intentions the beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is aware of. Al-Hawi lil-Fatawa is the name of the book. Al-Hawi lil-Fatawa, the name of the book. وَنِيَّاتِهِ وَعَزَائِهِمْ, his azaim, the intentions of a ummah. Do you think the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not aware of your intentions? He is certainly aware. Huzur sallallahu alaihi wasallam इंसान और मोमिन मुसलमानों की नीयतों को भी जानते हैं, अब भी उनकी नीयतों को जानते हैं, उनकी इरादों को भी जानते हैं. जो इरादा करता है मुसलमान, उसको हुजूर नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम अल्लाह ने उनको आगाह कर दिया. वज़ालिका जलीयुन इंदहु ला खिफा बिही, and this is totally exposed to him as the midday sun exposed to you. That's how he is aware of the intentions and actions of all the believers in this world. At any given time, from the time he was alive on this earth, right up till Qiyamah, whatever actions there are of people, the beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is aware of it. There are many ahadith that I can quote to this effect regarding this subject, but we don't have time. We have to move on further. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is also known as Shafi'i. Yani he will make shafa'at. He will intercede for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ إِذْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ. Allah teaches us how to make tawbah from sins. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us in the Holy Quran to make tawbah from sins. Say, وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ إِذْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ جَاءُوكَ. When you commit any sin, when you oppress yourself by committing any sin, Allah says, Ja'uka. The people should come to your presence. Come to your presence. Ja'uka. Your presence. Now the thing here to understand is, physically now, if you want to go to the presence of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the closest you can go is to the Rawza Mubarak in Medina Munawwara. The closest, right? So that is regarded as the presence of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The problem here is that every time you commit a sin, how many times a day you commit a sin, we don't know. Unless you take and you evaluate yourself and you calculate the whole thing to see when I'm sinning, when I'm not sinning. And sinning is not only a physical thing, even by thoughts, even by your vision, even by hearing, you can commit a sin. To hear evil things, retaliate through the mouth, to see evil things, to see haram things, things which the Sharia does not allow you to look at. Looking at foreign women. This is also a sin. In fact, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam has emphasized that there is zina of the eye. Zina of the eye is to look at something which is haram to look at. To look at a foreign woman is zina of the eye. So there are many sins that a person commits in a day. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders us in the Holy Quran, وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ إِذْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ جَاءُوكَ. Go to your presence. How are you going to go? If you commit sin 10 times a day, are you going to go to Medina Munawwara 10 times? How many of us can afford it? Right? Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains in the Holy Quran about the presence of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He says in the Holy Quran, An-Nabiyyu awla. An-Nabiyyu awla bil-mu'minina min anfusihim. The Nabi is more closer to you than your own life. How close are you to your life? You can't imagine. He uses the term awla, even more closer. So Nabi is even more closer to you than your own lives. So if you cannot ascertain as to how close you are to your life, how are you going to understand how close the Nabi is to you? So the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is close to you. It is your problem that you cannot feel his closeness. ये खता आपकी है जो आप हुजूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की कुर्बत को नहीं समझ सकते या नहीं एहसास कर सकते. You cannot understand it because of your weakness. But if you work towards it, you will understand it. Right? It is mentioned by Hazrat Sayyidi Abul Abbas Ahmad al-Mursi. Sayyidi Abul Abbas Ahmad al-Mursi is reckoned to be the Murshid and the Shaykh of Imam Sharfuddin al-Busiri radiyallahu anh, who is the famous compiler of Qasida Burda Sharif. Imam Busiri is his disciple of Sayyidi Abul Abbas Ahmad al-Mursi, who is a senior disciple of Sayyidina Abul Hasan al-Shazali radiyallahu anh. Abul Hasan al-Shazali is a disciple and Khalifa of Sayyidi Abdul Salam ibn Mashish. Abdul Salam al-Mashish is a disciple and Khalifa of Ghaus Abu Madyan Shu'aib al-Maghribi radiyallahu ta'ala, and he is the Khalifa of Huzur Ghaus Pak radiyallahu. Okay, do you know the chain now? Right? Sayyid Abul Abbas Ahmad al-Mursi, Khalifa of Abul Hasan al-Shazali, he is the Khalifa of Shaykh Abdul Salam al-Mashish, he is the Khalifa of Ghaus Abu Madyan Shu'aib al-Maghribi, and he is Khalifa of Huzur Ghaus Pak radiyallahu. Sayyidi Abul Abbas Ahmad al-Mursi radiyallahu ta'ala passed away in Alexandria, in Egypt. His mazar is in Alexandria. And very close by is the mazar, 50 meters away, or maybe less than 50 meters, is the mazar of Imam Sharfuddin al-Busiri radiyallahu ta'ala. Sayyid Abul Abbas Ahmad al-Mursi says, لو حجب عني جمال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم طرفة عيني ما أعددت مسلمة. If the Jamal and beauty of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is hidden from me for a blink of my eye. How quick is a blink of eye? That much. If the beauty of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is hidden from my vision, then I will not regard myself as a believer. That's how close the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is to a believer. Okay, now the shafa'at, the intercession of the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is haqq, and he will intercede for us on the day of Qiyamah, and he will also assist us while we are living in this world and we need his assistance. Insha'Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, he will assist us. This is a very long subject on its own, and we don't have time. Just understand the basic, that he will intercede, and he will be the first person to intercede on the day of Qiyamah, and no other prophet will supersede his intercession. In fact, they all will be dependent on the shafa'at of the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Okay. Anyone who looks down upon any single hadith of the beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or any one of his actions, or any one of his utterance, right? If he looks with it with contempt and he insults it, he becomes a kafir. He loses Imaan by the command of, or by the virtue of, the laws of the Sharia. Okay. Now we come to the point which is known as mu'jiza. Mu'jiza is a miracle that is performed by a prophet of Allah. Any unusual or extraordinary happening is known as a karamat. Generally what you say, like if any karamat, like Sayyidina Khaja Gharib Nawaz Mu'inuddin Chishti Ajmeri radiyallahu ta'ala filled the entire lake in a small little jug. Something impossible. The capacity of a jug is that much water, but he filled a massive lake. Anasagar is a lake in Ajmer Sharif. If you have been there, it's a massive lake. That entire lake to come into a little jug is something impossible. Impossible in the sense of the intellect, but possible by the qudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if it is performed by a wali of Allah, it is known as a karamat. Now there are 6 things that you must understand here. One is, number one, write it down. Number one is known as mu'jiza. Number 2 is known as irhas. I-R-H-A-S, irhas. Number 3 is known as karamat. Number 4 is known as ma'unat. Ma'unat. M-A-U-N-A-T. Ma'unat. Number 5 is known as istidraj. Istidraj. And number 6 is known as ihanat. Ihanat. I will explain this to you. These are extraordinary things that take place. Right? Now, for example, steps are used for ascending heights. Steps. You use a step to ascend height. But if somebody reaches the height without using a step, it's known as a miracle. Okay? If it's done by a prophet of Allah, it is known as a mu'jiza. A mu'jiza is exclusive to a prophet of Allah. No non-prophet can perform any mu'jiza. He can perform a miracle, okay. but not a mu'jiza. Miracle meaning an extraordinary thing. Now I'll give you the categories. You got the categories. I'll explain each category, all 6 categories to you. And inshallah, our session will terminate on this. Number 1. Right. If a prophet of Allah performs an extraordinary happening after the declaration, after the declaration of prophethood, after he declares, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, example, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam declared his prophethood at the age of 40. After his declaration, if he performed any miracle, like he raised the dead, right? Or a Sahaba got injured, his eyeball fell out, he took the eyeball, he lost his eyesight. Obviously, when your eyeball comes out of its socket, you lose your eyesight. All the veins and nerves and everything are severe and cut out. There's no way that he is going to see you that eye. But he used his sacred saliva, placed it on the eye, and he pushed it back into the eyeball. That eye that he fixed became more powerful in vision than the normal eye. This is after prophethood. It is known as a mu'jiza. If the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam performs a miracle before announcement, that's number 2. Before announcement of prophethood, that is known as irhas. Okay, you got that? Miracle performed after announcement of prophethood, mu'jiza. Miracle performed before announcement of prophethood is known as irhas. A miracle performed by any wali of Allah, or any pious person for that matter, any pious Muslim, for karamat, Imaan is a condition. It will be known as a karamat. Okay? Ma'unat now. Ma'unat is when an ordinary man performs any abnormal thing. Any person, whether it's a Muslim or whether it's a kafir or can be any, he performs something extraordinary. It is known as ma'unat. If any abnormal happening performed by a person in the state of kufr, a kafir, performs any extraordinary thing, that is known as istijraj. And that which he performs, another condition on that, that which he performs is according to his desire. That which a kafir performs any extraordinary thing, and according to his desire it comes through, it is known as istidraj. And if the kafir, tell me if I'm going too fast, if a kafir intends to perform an extraordinary thing, he does whatever he wants, but it doesn't manifest, it doesn't come through, then that is known as ihanat. Okay? You got that? Anything left in that? These 6 points, do you understand the 6 points? You want me to go over it again? Okay, you got that. Okay. The example of ihanat, an example of ihanat, that which a kafir performs and it does not manifest as he desires, is known as ihanat. Example of ihanat. Musaylama Kazzab is one of the impostors that claim prophethood after the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Musaylama Kazzab was the name of this impostor. Musaylama Kazzab, he tried to imitate. He lived at the time of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He tried to imitate the beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and claim prophethood. He said that we are partners in prophethood. You my partner, I'm your partner. Right? So he claimed prophethood. When the beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam placed his sacred hand of prophethood on a head of a child or any person, and as he removed, the touch had such an awesome effect. That touch, as he moved his hand, it became fragrant with musk and remained for many days. It never used to just diminish, like you apply a little bit of perfume or something or attar in your hand, it'll remain for a couple of hours or maybe for a day and then it's gone. No, it used to remain for days. When he placed his hand on a child or a person, this was the effect of the mu'jiza of the beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Musaylama Kazzab said, no, that's not a big thing, I can still do it. He took his hand, he placed it on a child. As soon as he moved his hand, the child became bald. Lost all his eyes. If there was any tasteless or bitter well in the water of any well, in Medina Munawwara or anywhere else, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam placed his sacred saliva, or he gargled and squirted the water into that well became sweet and very tasty and quenches the thirst of the people. But when Musaylama Kazzab spat in a well that was normal, it became bitter and undrinkable. That was the mu'jiza of our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this was the ihanat of a kafir, Musaylam bin Kazzab. Right. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam placed his sacred and sanctified, sanctimonious hand or finger on the eye of a blind person. The mu'jiza and miracle of the beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was such awesome and so powerful that Allah reinstated the vision of that person. Musaylama Kazzab said, I can also do that. That was the mu'jiza of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now the ihanat of a kafir, impostor who claimed prophethood at the period of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a squint child was brought to him, and he placed his finger on the eye of the squint child, let alone the squint coming right, the child became totally blind. That's ihanat of a kafir. Okay? Is everything okay with you all now? However, it's not difficult to distinguish between ihanat and its opposite. It's not difficult. Similarly, it is not necessary to explain the difference between mu'jiza and istidraj. What is istidraj? Is when a non-believer tries to express or try to show a miracle, and if it happens according to his desire, all right, according to his desire, then it is istidraj. And if it happens not according to his desire, is ma'unat. Okay, you know that. Suppose a fake person claims prophethood. Suppose a fake person claims prophethood. He will never ever be able to perform an extraordinary act because he is cursed. When he is cursed, Allah will not allow him the pleasure of displaying what he desires. He'll be blocked. Okay? He will never be able to perform an extraordinary act. If the master of all the magicians, today it's a world of magic, it's a world of jadoo, witchcraft. Unfortunately, our Muslims are engaged in this, they indulge in this. Anyone who indulges himself in witchcraft and jadoo commits kufr. It is kufr to get involved. Our Muslims here in Overport, in other temples, non-Muslim temples, are going and ringing the bell exactly at the time of Maghrib. Yeah, all right. It's happening. You'll find them in the sacred moments where you're supposed to be worshipping Allah. They are sitting in temples and engaged in all this witchcraft because they want to harm somebody or take revenge on a fellow Muslim. And they indulge in this witchcraft, which is totally kufr. And they become kafirs. All the magicians, today people come and show you magic. Oh, bada Allah wala hai. What that Allah wala got to do with magic? Are your Imaan gone so weak? Have we lost our Imaan? That we go and do all these funny and stupid things. Revenge, because of revenge and jealousy. We go to people for ta'weez, to shut the person's business down. The man has been given that business or has been given affluence by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Jealousy is a thing that destroys a human being. Jealousy and greed is the thing that the beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has forbidden strictly, not to get involved in all these things. So if all the master magicians of the world claim prophethood, today the word prophet has become so common that even non-Muslim kuffar are calling their priests prophet. You see in the papers, you see it in the newspapers, you see it in the TV, you see it in pamphlets. Certain, he's prophet, he's a prophet, prophet so and so. It's become so cheap. Right? If all the magicians in the world claim prophethood, then too all their powers and magic will instantly disappear. Because why are they using the word prophethood? which is a sanctified institute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a sacred institute. You're using a sacred institute to try and prove something which is false. So there is no polarity in it. It'll backfire. On the contrary, if anyone claims that he is the creator, खुदा की दावा करता है, खुदाई का दावा करता है. He claims divinity. Right? There are people that claim divinity. Some idiots, some stupid people. They also claim divinity. Pharaoh also claimed divinity. Many people in history did, and they will. They will claim divinity as well. And display magic. They claim that I am divine now. I am the creator of the universe. I've got a clip here that just came to me today. The Shias are claiming divinity for Sayyidina Ali al-Murtaza radiyallahu ta'ala. They not only claim divinity to him, they say he is greater than all the prophets of Allah. He will judge the people on the day of Qiyamah. Judgment will be issued by Sayyidina Ali radiyallahu anhu. This is a claim. I've got a clip if anybody needs to see that clip. I can send them a copy. And you will be shocked what stupid things, and yet we are now supporting Shiism. And we got a soft spot for them. We promote them. The thing is that when you got everything, question is, when you got everything with you, is it necessary for you to go and look for something outside? We got everything. What don't the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah have? What did not Islam give us? What did not the Quran give us? What did not Allah give us that we are going searching for it outside? How stupid a man can be. How stupid a human can be. So if anybody claims divinity or he is a creator and display extraordinary, like Pharaoh, he had a well, like a big a dish or something, a container made outside his palace. So people used to come and put offerings there. Some come put salt, bucket of salt. Some put a bowl of sugar. Some put some honey. Some put flour. Some put wheat. Whatever they had, they come and dump it inside, and it needs to be stirred. Stirred, totally mixed. Anybody you come, at anything that he desires, is a dish out and give it to him, whatever he desires, he'll get the same taste. This was a magic that Pharaoh had, and that what fortified the beliefs of those people that know he is really the creator of the universe. Right? That weakness of their Imaan destroyed them. Hadith says that if a person lies, you shall jhoot bolta hai. Sahih hadith says, if a person lies, jhoot bolta hai, Shaitan takes honey. At time when he lies, Shaitan takes honey and rubs it in his mouth, and he feels the sweetness of lying, and he lies more because he gets a taste of lying in his mouth. Shaitan places honey in his mouth, and when he lies, he feels the sweetness, and that now helps him to lie more. The hadith says that. So be very careful. What the beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ma ataakum ar-rasul fakhuzuhu wa ma nahakum anhu fantahu. What the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives you, take it. What he forbids you from, abstain from it. No matter if you like it or not. Abstain it, kick it out. nothing to do with it. That is real Iman. Right? So if somebody claims that he's a creator and he does magic and extraordinary things, and this certainly baffles the observer. You'll tell you, they'll start arguing with you. What are you talking? I saw him. He made an apple into a banana. Right? He made ice into fire. I saw it with my eyes. What are you talking? He's a very great man. These are all mesmerizing the mind, or mesmerism, mesmerizing the mind and blocking of Iman. If somebody tries to do all that, and if you recite La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-ali al-azim, in his presence his magic won't work. Don't work. Even if a person tries to harm you in any way, if he tries to harm you in any way, and if you have real, solid, powerful Iman, if somebody makes jadoo upon you, and if you recite with your Iman from the depths of your heart with total trust and conviction, if you recite La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-ali al-azim, it becomes a block in between. It will not harm you. Yaqeen is very important. Trust in Allah. Your goal is Allah. Your goal is Allah. Your goal of Iman. And the maqsood of Iman is Allah. Always turn to Him. Have Him always as your priority. Never forget Allah. And never be unconscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As I said, one simple thing, a very simple thing I advise people. Tell me, you're walking down here now, for that matter, or somewhere, you find, a lot of money lying there, some notes lying there, a pack of notes lying there, or in a public place. Right. What will be your first reaction? First reaction when you look at that money, the first reaction is, after watching that, the next reaction is you look around. Natural instinct I'm giving you. You look around. Why? Is there anybody watching me? To see if the road is clear. If it's not clear, you will immediately grab it. Or if there are people walking around, what you will do, you will stand on it, stamp it. You will hide it to wait when the time is appropriate, then you will bend down and you'll pick it up. Or there are many other ways used. You'll remove your jacket, you throw it over it, conceal it, leave it there. So when you're picking it up, you're picking your jacket up, you're actually scooping the whole money into your jacket and walking. This is the reaction of a human being. All right? This is known as unconscious reaction, thinking that you are conscious. No, this is in Islam the unconscious reaction of a human being. A negative aspect. The positive aspect is the positive aspect of seeing some money lying on the road, or seeing somebody dropping his wallet. The positive action in Islam is to rush to that person who dropped it and inform him that you have dropped your money down. That is the positive Islamic reaction. Okay, number one. The negative reaction is you look around to see if anybody is watching you. When nobody is watching, you will pick it up. But if people are watching you, you will not pick it up. Why? You are ashamed. Or you are scared. Now tell me, is there any moment that Allah does not watch you? This is a golden rule to abstain from sins. A golden rule, priceless rule. One aspect
of not committing a sin. Islam gives you the theory for it. Islam gives you the key to not committing any sin, any sin for that matter. One is that when you believe that Allah is mawjood, when you believe that Allah is mawjood, you don't use the term present for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because there's a negative aspect of present. Present here, absent somewhere else. Present here, absent there. So we don't use the term for Allah. Allah is free from that. You use the term mawjood, meaning omnipresent. Right? Allah मौजूद है, हाजिर नहीं. हाजिर मखलूक होता है, खालिक मौजूद होता है. There's difference. खालिक मौजूद होता है और मखलूक हाजिर होते हैं. Therefore the term hazir and nazir is not used for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazir and nazir is an attribute that is attributed to the creation. And if you want to attribute the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will use the term mawjood. La mawjooda illallah. Understand? Omnipresence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you believe that Allah is mawjood, you will never ever commit a sin. Like any object lying down, any money lying on the floor, you look around, if nobody is looking at you, then you pick it up. Somebody looking, you won't pick it up. So if you believe that Allah is watching me, will you commit a sin? Simple, one simple rule of Islam will make you a pure Muslim. Okay. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are speaking about a magician, right, who performs an extraordinary thing and it baffles the observer, which they should not if they had Imaan. Such will be the state of Dajjal. In the last hour, now here is a sabak. Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Imam Ahmad Raza radiyallahu ta'ala an reports that the time when Dajjal will come, he'll show you Jannah, which you will see with your eye in his right hand. And he'll show you Jahannam, fire burning on the left hand. If he asks you to believe in him, and if you accede to that, and you believe in him, then he will take you and place you inside Jannah. Inside Jannah. That is illusionary Jannah. It's not real Jannah. It's an illusion. It places you in Jannah. Right? And if somebody who rejects him, you grab hold of him and put him into Jahannam in a burning fire. That's also an illusion. In fact, it is not Jannah and Jahannam. It's an illusion. Ala Hazrat radiyallahu ta'ala says there will be some ulama. There will be some educated personalities. I use the term ulama, which is not correct. Some people who with knowledge, are knowledgeable people. Ulama are sacred people, are honorable people. I apologize for that term. But it is mentioned that there are so many types of ulama as well. They are the correct, righteous ulama, and they are the corrupt ulama as well. Right? So there will be some knowledgeable people who will be very proud about their knowledge. They say, come, let's go and see what he's doing. We are knowledgeable people. He won't take us for a ride. He won't mislead us. So they are going to see Dajjal, right, on what? Trusting their knowledge. Al-Hazrat says, Al-Hazrat radiallahu ta'ala says, as soon as they go there, when they see his mesmerizing magic, they'll fall for him. And they will lose their Imaan and become kafirs. When the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam has forbidden us, if you live to that moment, don't go. Like our people say, when we tell them that this is a corrupt man, this is a corrupt Maulana, or he's a corrupt Peer Sahib, or he's a corrupt individual, stay away. He said, nah, Baba, we're not fools. We just go, let's go and see what he says. Let's go, chalo, dekhenge kya bolta hai wo. So let's go take, you see the heart is beating, the heart is alive, shaitan is present, and it's a matter of one word that you can be locked to him and you'll lose your Iman. So the best thing to do in this disturbed moment, when you know and you're informed by the righteous scholars and the respectable, honorable individuals, that this man is corrupt, stay away from him. Don't tell him, say bye. He's also speaking about Allah and His Rasul. He's also speaking about namaz, roza, hajj. He's speaking about hadith. You must hear him recite the hadith. You must hear him read the Quran. It's amazing. None of us can read like him. That is a bait. That is a bait. He's very knowledgeable. There's nobody more knowledgeable here than the shaitan. Because he was at one time Muallimul Malakut, when his name was Azazil. He was the ustad and teacher of the Malaika, the angels, the ustad of the angels. He came in disguise. Now I speak about that person that when they lost his Iman by Dajjal, because they didn't go on the trust of Allah. They didn't go on the dependence of Allah. They went on the dependence on their knowledge. And that's why they were misled. You must always depend on Allah, like it was taught by our master, Huzur Ghaus al-Azam Sayyidina Shaykh Muhyiddin Abd Al Qaderi Al-Jilani radiyallahu ta'ala, one day was out in the wilderness, in a desert wilderness, heat, no water, thirsty. And then suddenly clouds appeared and it began raining, and Huzur Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala opened his mouth and some raindrops fell in his mouth, which relieved him from that extreme thirst that he had. Then suddenly, from the cloud, a voice called out, "Oh Abd Al Qadir, oh Abd Al Qadir, I have made the halal haram for you and the haram halal for you." When that voice called out, then Huzur Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala looked up and he says, "Oh khabis, oh cursed." And he read, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim." Then that brightness turned into darkness. He lost that first bait that he put, but he didn't give up. Shaitan lost the first session, but he didn't give up. You know what he says? "Abd Al Qadir, your knowledge saved you. Abd Al Qadir, your knowledge saved you." Ghaus Pak said, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim." He said, "Oh cursed, khabis, you still want to mislead me? My knowledge did not save me, my Allah saved me. That's the time came into darkness, and he says, Abd Al Qadir, I have misled 70,000 people of the path, Sufiya Ikram. 70. I've misled them in this very same way that I tried to lead you, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected you. So who are we? So please, brother in Islam, don't go blindly and go and follow everybody. You have the old school. We have our masters that have taught us that. We have Hazrat Sufi Sahib Rahmatullah alayh. We have the great Mujaddid Ala Hazrat Imam Ahmad Raza radiyallahu. We have Sayyidina Khaja Gharib Nawaz radiyallahu anhu. They are the masters of the old school. We have Sayyidina Ghaus al-Azam, Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani radiyallahu. Do you need anybody else? Do you need all these fancy guys coming in different garbs, dressed up, red hat, white coat, yellow shoes, pink tasbih, and all these funny kinds of dressings? They come here and they try to mislead us. Do you need that? I say, hold fast to the old school. Hold fast. That is the correct school, not the modernists, misled wolves wearing sheepskin and coming to us with very sweet approaches and trying to mislead us and destroy our Iman. It's very easy to lose Iman. It's very difficult to keep it intact. The time comes, Sahaba Ikram came to the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam when he informed them, a time will come. He said, Sahaba, speaking to the Sahaba, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, if you leave out 1/10 of what I have taught you, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam hadith. This hadith is narrated by Imam Kamaluddin Damiri radiyallahu ta'ala and many other Imma and Muhaddiseen that said to the Sahaba, if you leave out 1/10 of what I taught you of Islam now, you will be destroyed. 1/10, telling the Sahaba. But the time will come on my ummah that if they hold fast to 1/10, if they hold fast to 1/10, they'll be saved. Right? 1/10, the Sahaba, you will be destroyed. 1/10 in the coming generations, if they hold on to 1/10 of Islam, they will be saved. Sahaba Ikram asked, Ya Rasulullah, why? Because we are with you? He said, no. Because we are with you in your presence? He said, no. So what is the reason? He says, because you have more ulama amongst you and less lecturers. तुम में ज़्यादा उलमा है और मुकर्रिर लोग बहुत कम है, वाइज करने वाले कम. You have more ulama amongst you and very few lecturers. But at that time will come, this period where we are in now is rife. This is the period now. So there will be more lecturers and less ulama. So every Tom, Dick and Harry today is standing from the mimbar and is lecturing. He doesn't know if Alif is standing straight or he's lying down. He read 2 books, open the Google whatever masala he wants from there, whether it is correct or not. The most dangerous element today to destroy your Iman is the net. So be very careful. Hold fast to the old school. Hold fast to those who are closer to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who taught us the pristine religion of Islam. When you have that, hold fast to it. So inshallah tabarak wa ta'ala, The last point I want to tell you is the only method of distinguishing between karamat and istidraj and magic and mesmerization is the yardstick of the Sharia of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sharia is your yardstick. Whatever the Sharia says, hold fast to it. And whatever any idiot or individual says who is conflicting with the Sharia, absolutely reject it and leave it out. And don't even give it a hearing. So don't go to lectures and don't go to gatherings thinking that you know too much. They won't mislead you. Abstain from it. You know, where there is filth, nobody will go. Where there is stench, nobody will go. So regard it as a filthy thing and a place where your Imaan is at stake. Abstain from it. وَمَا أَتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ أَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا وَآخِرُ دَعْوَانَا أَنِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ.